Most true crime stories hinge on mystery. Who did it? Why did it happen? What went wrong? This one doesn't. There's no question about who did it. There's no confusion about what happened. And the person responsible has never denied it. What makes this case disturbing isn't chaos. It's clarity. Tonight, we're talking about a boy who didn't act in rage, panic, or fear, but with intention. This is the story of Paris Bennett.
Well, I like his name.
Yeah, he's got a cool name.
That's a cool name.
But before we start, I just want to give a content warning before we get too far into this. So this episode involves the murder of a child by her sibling and a deep discussion of juvenile psychopathy. So it's not a super easy listen, but it's very interesting and something that a lot of people don't get into. So listener discretion is advised.
Great.
But anyways, welcome back to Sisters of the Strange, everybody. I'm Shay.
I'm Landry. And this week sounds like it's going to be Chrissy.
Chrissy.
Chrissy girl.
Chrissy girl. Yeah, I just want to be like upfront about it because, you know, sometimes we are like bebopping around here and we're like, yeah. And then it's like, no.
No, you texted me. You said, this one's going to be heavy. I said,
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, because we did some heavy ones like a couple weeks ago, and then we were like, oh, well, we did heavy ones last week, so now we're going to not do heavy ones this week. And now I'm like, and I'm back again with another slap in your face.
Sick.
So you're welcome for that.
Give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want. This is basically like a psychological case study wrapped into like family tragedy, just kind of all around. But kind of like I mentioned, not a lot of people talk about it. So it forces us to kind of cover something that most people are pretty uncomfortable with, which would be the idea of psychopathy in a literal child and the fact that he was fully able to understand how to cause pain and did it anyways.
Oh, good.
And also it takes place in Abilene. So quite close.
Love that.
Yeah. So I had heard this story a while ago and I don't remember where I watched it. I may have watched like a series of episodes of it on TikTok. Or I watched a documentary. I don't remember which one it was because it's been years.
A minute.
But my mom brought it back up to me the other day. She was like, oh my God, I want you to do this case. It's so insane. It happened in Abilene. And she was telling me about it. And I was like, man, that sounds really familiar, but I can't like recall. She was like texting me about it. And then when I saw her, we were like talking about it in person. And I was like, I know this case. Like I've heard this case. Like I'm very familiar with it.
Yeah.
I had to get
back into it all the way.
Recombobulated with all the
info.
details. Yeah. Do you have anything to talk about? Here we go. Paris Bennett is his name. And he was born in 1993. He was supposedly in a family that was pretty unstable. His parents' relationship was volatile. His father struggled with addiction and was kind of in and out of jail. So he mostly was just with his mom, who her name is Paris Bennett. She did a majority of the parenting. But also in her early life, she also had an issue with drugs. Her mother was accused of murdering her dad, like her husband. Charity's mom was accused of murdering Charity's dad, her husband.
Yeah.
And was, you know, charged not guilty or whatever. But Charity still to this day thinks like that her mom is insane and she definitely did it.
She had to live with her. She would know.
So that's interesting. But so Charity was, like I said, she was kind of having a little bit of her own like drug addiction type issue. She said that her mother was very manipulative, and when she started doing drugs, it was an attempt to like gain attention from her mom, but her mom really just was like, whatever, I don't really care.
Yeah,
Just do whatever you want. So she kind of had a rough upbringing herself, but she meets her husband, who's also in and out of jail, addicted to drugs, wasn't really in the kid's life, whatever. Paris was born in 1993, and then in 2003, Charity gives birth to Ella Bennett, which is Paris's little sister, obviously.
Oh, God. He's going to do something to a little girl named Ella.
Ella was 4 years old.
What are you doing right now?
I forgot that her name was Ella. Sorry.
My eyes are like already watering.
So Ella was 4 years old in 2007, and she loved her older brother. And the detail that matters is that there was no evidence of conflict or issue between the siblings. They didn't fight. There was never really any documented abuse towards her. No escalating in violence or anything like that. Just he was the older brother who just kind of was like, okay, I have a sister, cool.
Yeah, they're 10 years apart. There shouldn't be a lot of like conflict there.
Right, exactly. And there really wasn't.
Yeah.
But I think maybe like within him, there was a little bit of resentment to her.
Yeah, he's having to kind of help raise a sister, probably.
Yeah.
You know.
But there's one detail that I wanted to bring into play here in this situation. So most juvenile violence escalates. It starts with something and then it gets worse and worse, right? So they start throwing tantrums. They maybe show signs of cruelty or abuse to animals. They have obvious anger issues, very impulsive behavior. Paris was not really that way. So he never had instances of losing control. In this case, there was not really like a snap in him. He said that he wasn't overwhelmed. He wasn't really particularly mad about anything specific. But he said later that what he did was specifically to hurt his mom only. And he thought that what he chose to do was the most effective way that he could do that.
Great.
And that makes this like he used violence as a tool, not as a release or as a
like it wasn't really something he wanted to do.
projection.
Like it wasn't something that he was driven by. He wasn't driven by violence. He just wanted to hurt his mom.
He was like, I know what I can do.
What would work
to do this. And that's very rare in a child to think that way, to put those pieces together, kind of. Very eerie.
Definitely advanced thinking.
Very much so. So on February 4th, 2007, Paris's mom hired a babysitter to stay at home with the kids. She had to go work a late shift where she worked, I think, at like a Buffalo Wild Wings or something. It was the Super Bowl. So she had to work that night. And no ifs, ands, or buts. Mm-hmm. She worked at a sports bar. It's the Super Bowl. You got to go.
That's it.
So she gets a babysitter. The kids are at home with the babysitter. And again, mind you, Paris is 13. Okay. Somehow, some way, Paris convinces the babysitter to leave. He's like, we're good. Like, we're going to go. I'm going to put her to bed. We're fine. He's 13. He's sure.
Like Ella's 12 right now, and she's very. I'd trust her to stay home alone. He was
very smart. He was very intelligent. Very clearly like persuasive. Could get what he wanted. But yeah, somehow he talked this babysitter into leaving, and was like, "We'll be fine. I'll take care of her. Like it's no big deal. Whatever." So babysitter leaves. Oh, also I want to mention, it said that shortly before this murder takes place, his mom had a small relapse in her drug use. And I think that he had found out about that. And so a lot of people are saying, oh, well, that's what like really like pushed him over the edge against his mom and like made him so angry. And that's why he was like in this position. So he gets the babysitter to leave around like 10 p.m. that night. So it's late. And then sometime before 11:30 p.m. is when the murder takes place. So There was no argument. There was no like witness at all to any kind of struggle, which of course, like the babysitter's gone at this point. It's just Paris and Ella. But at some point, Paris goes and gets a knife from the kitchen and stabs Ella 17 times. That's just like, it seems like a lot. Obviously, it is a lot. Like 17 times for a 4-year-old is a lot. But he calls a friend at school and talks on the phone with them for like 6 minutes or so before he calls 911 at 11:42 p.m. And on the phone, apparently he tries to fake this like insanity like mindset, like that he's not in his right mind, and tells them that he thought that Ella was a demon and so he killed her.
He'd have had better luck saying someone just broke in, we're home alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the babysitter left. So somebody came in. Yeah. The dispatcher instructs Paris how to perform CPR because he calls and he's like, oh, hey, my sister's dead. Like, I stabbed her. Like, he immediately is like, I stabbed her. But then he says, oh, I thought she was a demon. Like, he's like, goes into this whole thing. Weird. So instead of actually performing CPR, he's pretending on the phone that he's doing CPR and counting on the phone with the dispatcher, but was just pacing around the room.
Okay.
And the police show up and he was arrested around 12:30 a.m.
Can you imagine being the mom and getting the call? I just arrested your 12, 13-year-old son because he just stabbed your 4-year-old daughter to death.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I bet she went into further drugs after that.
So here is where we're going to switch back to this psychopathy mindset, this psychology, where we go a little back and forth in between like this timeline and then where we're at with the psychology of it. Because that's what I think is so important about this story. So as I said, stabbing somebody 17 times, especially as a child to another child, requires effort, serious effort, any kind of tolerance of distress within yourself or the victim. And then the ability to just continue doing it as it hits you, like the reality of it hits you, you know? Because you would think that in the moment when you're doing it, when it sets in for you, there's like this, oh shit. Kind of like I talked about in the Alito murders.
Yeah, you realize what's going on.
He realized what he'd done and he called and was very remorseful and sad and upset about it.
Yeah.
And this was not that at all. A lot of violent offenders often disengage when they are confronted with the reality of things like the blood, the resistance, any kind of like emotional distress feedback that they're getting from the victim. Paris did not. There's not a single ounce of remorse in this kid. And the psychologists pay specific attention to that because it really, really showcases the emotional detachment that he had. The very low psychological stress response that he has, basically none of, and behavior control. How he's able to just keep it all cool, calm, and collected. This combination is uncommon even in adults.
Oh.
Usually there is one of these things that is not like on the list, and he's got all of them. So it's extremely rare in children, with it being uncommon in adults.
Yeah.
After he called 911, there was no like attempt to run. There was no confusion. There was no crying. There was no hysteria. Police got there. He was waiting for them and they took him. There was never any why. There was never any who. It was a why, not a who. Like, it wasn't one of those things. Like, he, like you said, he could have easily said, oh, we're home alone.
I was asleep.
Somebody came in here. I was asleep and my sister's screaming. You know, there could have been any story.
Something.
He had no intention of doing that. And which brings me to the next piece of the fact that he didn't try to even protect himself at all. He just gave it all up. And most juvenile offenders will lie. They will blame, say that they were scared, point to abuse. all of those things that even adults do.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't do any of that. He confessed immediately.
He wanted his mom to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's I hate you. I did it.
I did this. Yeah. So he basically had like just no fear in this situation at all. Which again is crazy to think about how stoic that he could have been, because as a 13-year-old kid, police are showing up to you, they're arresting you. They're like, there's got to be some kind of fear, like, oh shit, I'm going to go to jail forever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to like, oh shit, I did this and now I have the consequences. Not the fact that he was scared of what he did, but maybe scared of the consequences. And fear of consequences is one of like the strongest inhibitors of violence, especially in young people, because they don't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to
get grounded. You don't want to get yelled at. You don't want the speech.
Yeah.
Like
the fear of the consequence itself keeps people from doing the things that they know that they shouldn't do.
Yes.
That's like a normal human response. Again, Paris showed none of this. He had very low anxiety, and basically just like confidence in his own logic of why he did this, which all align very strongly with psychopathic traits.
Sounds like it, like numbness.
Mm-hmm. Like complete numbness. So during questioning, when he's arrested and taken to the police station, he told the investigators his motive, which I've mentioned already. He killed Ella simply to punish his mother. Not because he was angry at Ella, not because he resented her, not because they got in a fight, not because he lost any sort of control. He knew and he believed that hurting his little sister would hurt his mother the most out of anything. And that's all he wanted to do. People think that this is like some sort of like revenge, but it wasn't. Like he had full intent. Like there was no reason to get revenge really on his mom. She didn't do anything to him.
Yeah.
But he felt that she sucked, basically. He thought that she was a bad mom. And he was like, well, I'll show you. And it comes out later, like way later on, during like a documentary or something that was done, that Paris and his grandmother have a lot of contact, even still to this day. And Charity, Paris's mom, thinks that, remember, she thinks her mom is psychotic as well.
Yeah.
She thinks that these two have just been like
scheming,
conspiring, and just like she's just been feeding him horrible, horrible things, and he's just eating it up, and just creates this like really bad storm of what happened, basically.
I don't want to knock her parenting style because I don't know her parenting style, but I do know like I watch how Ella and Murphy interact, and that's the parent I would like to be, you know? And like Ella would never, and Ella loves my mom. Ella loves Nana, but Ella would never choose Nana over Murphy.
Right.
Because that's her mom.
Yeah.
But Murphy's a very good mom, loving, caring, kind, takes care of her kids. Like, just still makes their lunches, writes some notes, like does everything. Yeah. And so it's like, I don't want to knock Charity, but I'm like, God, what if you knew she was crazy? Why would you let your son talk to her? Yeah. Like, what's that about?
And I think that she was probably dealing with some of her own
issues. She is kind of basically a single mom. Yeah. And has a husband that's in and out of, there's a lot more going on than what's on the surface.
There's some stuff going on in the background, I think. But she loved her children. Yeah. And she'll tell you that still to this day. And she still loves her son. And even after he was like in prison and stuff, like they talk all the time. They don't anymore, but they used to talk all the time. And like, she would always write to him and like, you know, tell him that she loved him and she was here for him and she was sorry and all these things. And he just like, he would write back to her, but like there was no
like emotion. Guess it is just
like he wanted to hurt her, and so that was
something
his
you're born
choice.
Without, I guess. But that's an argument. Like,
we're gonna get into it.
But do you think you're born or not born with that? I mean, I firmly believe people are born with chemical imbalances and stuff. Like, I firmly believe that's where anxiety and depression and all that comes from. Because you can be raised in the healthiest, happiest home and still have anxiety and depression and things like that.
Yeah.
So
things, yeah.
you could be born and just have, the chemical is not there for you to have that, like, the love, the emotion, the...
Yeah.
I think some of it's raised, some of it is how you're raised, but a lot of it is, I think, chemical.
I think so too. I think a lot of the time, yeah. I think there has to be like this perfect storm within somebody for it to come out, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well,
But
it's like, I've heard the argument, they're like, well, if you don't want your kid to have anxiety, don't raise them around anxiety. Like, don't show them what anxiety is. And I'm like, kids naturally feel that. And then they want to know why their stomach hurts before they have to go on stage or, for a school
take a
play
math test.
And they want to know why their belly hurts and why they feel jittery and scared. They don't, that's not something you've taught them, but that's how they feel, because that's what anxiety is. You can't not teach a kid anxiety, they already have it.
Yeah. Just a natural response to certain things.
Yeah. So it's like,
some people
are like,
just feel it more than others.
There's the arguments, they're like, raise your kids to just not feel that way. That's not how that works.
Yeah, good try. Try again.
Same thing with
just
depression.
Like when somebody's
that's not how that works.
Yeah, if somebody's depressed or like having anxiety attack, they're like, "Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Just breathe. You'll be fine."
No, give them the tools to work through them. Like because it's depression, there's levels of it where it's like, okay, you do need to get like more help, like more like medicine or something. But a lot of it is also like, try and give your kid the tool, and if that isn't enough, then seek further help.
Yeah,
but definitely like try and teach them like, it's okay, it's normal to be sad, or it's normal to feel a little nervous,
right?
Like,
but you may just need.
But you're born with it, and so that's where I'm. My point. Sorry, I'm rambling, but my point is, you're born with. There is people who are just like born with that. It's not a factor of how you're raised or a product of your raising, and so I could see where his is just like a chemical imbalance of something.
Yeah, it's got to be. Exactly. So there wasn't really any like emotional revenge. It was conceptual revenge. He never like came out and said, "Oh, I was mad. That's why I did this." He literally said, "This is what would cause the most damage to her. And that's why I did it." And that requires very abstract reasoning, long-term thinking, and delayed gratification. Like that's the most unsettling thing for me is like that delayed gratification, like, and those are all executive functions of a person, not impulsive decisions. And at 13 years old, that level of reasoning is very unsettling.
Is he in prison for life?
Kinda, sorta.
Is he going to come after us? Because he's only 31 years old.
I don't think so.
In Abilene.
He doesn't care about anybody else.
Exactly.
So here's one of the most important psychological distinctions in this case, okay? Empathy has two different parts. There is emotional empathy, which is feeling what other people feel. And there is cognitive empathy, which is understanding what other people are feeling. Paris lacks emotional empathy, but not cognitive empathy.
Yeah.
So he doesn't feel sad because you feel sad. He understands that you feel sad and understands what he can do to make you feel sad.
Cool.
Dangerous.
Dangerous.
So he knows what grief is, how devastating it is to lose a child, and how it would permanently destroy his mother's life. And that was the whole point. There was no misunderstanding of morality. That was just that one specific point.
And he still doesn't regret it. Like he still hasn't come out and been like, my bad, y'all. Okay, so he should stay in prison.
He basically weaponized emotion without having to experience any emotion himself, which is heavy to think about. But the textbook cognitive empathy without emotional empathy is textbook like psychopathy. Super cool. 13.
It's very dangerous. That's very dangerous to not care, because he knew he was going to get in trouble for that too. Like how you said, there's no care about the consequences. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Imagine him now.
Very dangerous.
As a grown-ass man.
So obviously he was evaluated very extensively. He was not hallucinating, he was not delusional, and he was not technically psychotic. Because he completely understood where he was, what he did, and why he did it. Which, like, a lot of people want to say, oh, well, he was out of touch with reality. He was this, he was that. Like, no, there was no break from his reality. He was
there.
in no altered state. This was completely intentional. And that's why it's so scary.
That's dark.
Because at 13, like, that's serious, like, deep.
Yeah, that's what I'm
shit.
like. I can't even imagine now, especially not showing any remorse at all, even now. That's like horrifying. That's like, please do not ever.
Right.
Please never let him into the real world. Because that's someone who will just like drive his car into a crowd and not care.
Yeah, maybe.
But he's at that rate, it's like he's not, who's he aiming to hurt?
But I also don't think, I just don't know if I believe that because.
What, you believe he's safe to get out?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Because the only person he wanted to hurt was his mom?
Correct.
So he would just keep
aiming things at her? And I don't think that he didn't get any.
Reaction that he wanted?
He didn't get any, like, excitement from that. Like, he didn't, like, get any specific emotion from, like, doing what he did.
I don't think
he
it really
only
worked.
wanted to cause harm to his mom.
I don't think it worked for him either.
And that's
how she kept writing and being like, I love you. You're my son still. Like,
yeah.
Maybe he didn't get actually the reaction he thought he would.
If
so
he even
I feel
really
like
if anybody's in harm's way, it'll be her.
I want to know what she did that made him so angry at her. To hate your mom that much that you're like, I'm going to kill my little sister.
Yeah, because that'll hurt her the most.
Yeah.
Maybe he just thought that she didn't care for him. But I don't even know if he was capable of feeling that. You know?
Man, I feel so many emotions. I'm like, I can't imagine what it feels like to be numb.
Yeah, exactly.
I go numb sometimes when I over emotional. Like,
yeah. Well, because he acknowledged the harm and what he did, and he acknowledged the pain that he caused. But remorse itself requires emotional, like, reasoning. And he doesn't have that. So, like, it's basically impossible for him to feel remorse. And owning up to what you did is not remorse.
No.
Like, saying, oh, yeah, I did that is not you apologizing for doing what you did or feeling bad for it. It's just saying you did it. There's a difference between saying, oh, yeah, I did this and, oh, I feel the weight of what I did. You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, he doesn't have that. So in risk assessments in violent offenders and things like that, it's said that instrumental violence plus lack of remorse is one of the strongest predictors of future danger. So this is why his parole eligibility in 2027 is very controversial. 2027.
So, no. That is the thing. It's like, but who's the next person? Say he gets out. Say he's pretty normal. You know, whatever. Falls in love. Gets mad at her. Who's in the line of fire? Because he wants to hurt her. To be fair, he is 31 years old and not 13 anymore. But if he's never shown remorse even now, has he grown?
I don't think so.
Or is he still stunted at 13?
I don't think that he's stunted at 13. So here's something that I believe. So in any sort of situation like this where a person is being evaluated as a psychopath or sociopath or whatever, he's been in prison his entirety of his life, especially his entire adult life.
Yeah.
Not entire, but majority. They do therapy, they do evaluations, they do studies and things like this to continue to evaluate their growth. These type of people figure out what it takes to say that makes them seem like they not necessarily are remorseful per se, but like they know how to make it seem like they're completely understanding and know what to say to make them think that they're not going to do it again. Or like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like they learn they
know what you want to hear?
Yes. They learn the system basically, and like the terminology and like the way you say things. Like they've feed off of that and they learn that so they know how to respond.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's always been really creepy for me.
It gives me the heebs.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to go back a little bit. I wanted to talk about the whole like arrest and everything. So he was arrested when he was 13, right? So he was not charged as an adult because you cannot be. The minimum age a juvenile can be tried as adult in Texas is 14. So he missed that mark. So instead, he was charged in juvenile court, pleaded guilty to capital murder. He was sentenced to 40 years in prison with the possibility of parole after 20 years, which is the maximum sentence for a defendant convicted of capital murder in juvenile court in Texas.
Okay.
So 40 years is all he was sentenced. So he's only served half of his sentencing. In 2027 will have only been half of his sentence. And he will be eligible for parole. When he was 19, he was transferred to an adult prison from the juvenile center to an adult prison. And during proceedings, further assessment using standardized measures documented significant psychopathic traits. And he did admit to saying that he has had homicidal ideation since he was a child. But like I mentioned, he will first be eligible for parole in February of 2027. But if he is not granted parole, he will be released in 2047.
Ugh.
Isn't that wild?
I don't like that.
So yeah, it's very interesting to think the fact that he's going to be eligible for parole in 2027. A lot of experts say that he is completely unable to be rehabilitated. They do not believe that he is truly been rehabilitated or will ever be. So hopefully he won't be granted parole in
Surely
2027.
the parole board would not.
You would think. I don't know. I'm not really sure how they make their decisions these days. But in 2017, there was a documentary, which I'm pretty sure is the one that I had watched, because that lines up with how long I feel like it's been since I've seen it. Yeah. It was called The Family I Had, and I'm pretty sure it was on Netflix. And it focused less on Paris and like his story, but more like on his mom as a grieving mother of not only the tragic loss of her daughter, but also the loss of her son, basically, and the reality of the situation, and how people judged her for maintaining contact with him for so long. But from a clinical perspective, like, she is experiencing this ambiguous loss.
Yeah.
She's lost both of her children, one to death and one to prison at the exact same time. So people were saying that, like, oh, well, just because you maintain contact with him, like, you're like excusing him for what he did and like forgiving him. And she's like, no, that's not necessarily true. But that's his mother. She's like, that is her son. And there's still going to be that parental attachment. There's a trauma bond.
Yeah. She's also the only one who knows, like, she might feel guilt. She might feel maybe she feels a little bit of guilt where she's like, dang, maybe I didn't give him enough attention. Like, you know, she might be questioning herself too. Like, she's certainly questioning herself. Like, why is he doing that? But she might be like, dang, I shouldn't have done this. If I had just done this one thing different. So it's probably guilt too, where she's like, but he is my son and I probably did something wrong. And that's probably why he did this. Like, yeah, I'm not a mother yet, but like, that's how I would be thinking probably. Like, if something like that happened to me, I would be like, exactly. What did I do? Why did I do that? I even think that now when something around me happens, I'm like, what did I do that caused this?
Yeah. Why is that being projected onto me?
And like, what can I do to make it better? Even though it's definitely something I should not try and make better. Mm-hmm. I still am like, okay, what can I do? Yeah. So I that's her son. Mm-hmm. So I can only imagine.
Right. I cannot imagine. But kind of like we were just talking about, one of the little segments that I put in here is like, do people like, can he really change? And that's a question that a lot of people argue endlessly in cases like this, but all cases really. But psychopathy is like not something that can just be easily treated. Like, you can't just medicate these people. Like, there's got to be like a complete reform.
Yeah.
And traditional therapy often is not successful. And as I mentioned, some individuals learn to perform insight without true internal change.
Yeah, like masking.
Mm-hmm. So treatment for this focuses on behavior management, external accountability, and harm containment, not emotional reform, because that's pretty much impossible. So it's all just this like outside thing, but what's going on in here or in here, you're not going to fix that. You're not going to fix that. So he learned to talk about his crime. He learned to talk about what he did in a sense that makes him seem like he's changed. But experts know that that's not the case because they're familiar with this type of masking, basically.
I hate that because I've seen that where they, in front of you, they're this person. And I'm not saying this person was a psychopathy or whatever, didn't have all that, but like the whole masking concept where it's like in front of you, you know, they're being the best version of themselves. They're being great. And then, you know, they step onto the other side of like the wall. They go into a different room and they're being horrible people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know it.
Yeah.
But in front of you, they're not doing that.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do I
on
do?
paper,
What
they
do I
look
do?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know that's not true. Yeah. So, as I had mentioned, Charity maintaining contact with Paris after the murder, Paris said like that was astounding to him. Because like you said, he probably didn't expect her to reach out to him at all.
Yeah.
But she did. And he was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I didn't get the reaction that I wanted. And she has another son now. And she's been told that her and her son are at risk if he is to be released. And she understands that. She knows that. And she's acknowledged that she'll probably need to move once he's been released, if he gets released. And in 2021 is when she said that she ceased all communication with him after learning that he was still communicating with his grandma, and also learning that he was involved with a woman who was on bond 2 hours away from where she lived for planning a mass shooting. Good. So she had said this quote that was basically like, I finally accepted that it is okay to love him as my son, but to really dislike the person he's become.
She's going to have to go into like witness protection.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. It's just insane. There's so many ways to dive into this, but this case is so haunting because it challenges the beliefs that people have of children. Traditionally, most people, I even want to believe that, you know, children are innocent, that if there is violence in children, that it's impulsive. It's not something deeper than that, you know? And like that they're not evil. Children are not evil. And he just completely contradicts all of those things. And it's just insane. But
it's scary because like Ella and Nash, where they go to school, there's been some incidences with children there. And my first question is always, where are your parents?
Mm-hmm.
Where are the parents? And the parents never really seem to be a big factor whenever these kids are doing these things. And I'm like, problem right there.
Yeah.
But when you have a loving mom who's in your life,
there,
at least one of your parents is there really loving you, and you still have something like that deeply rooted, it's like, oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
Because you have a mom who's trying and giving you everything and like really trying, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's just like,
here we are.
Yeah. But I wonder if she never really gave him consequences, and if that's why he's not scared of consequences.
Maybe.
Like, I wonder if he was never raised with a consequence.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's why consequences don't really
resonate with him,
come into his mind.
Yeah.
Because it's like he's never had them.
Yeah. Also very true.
Because there's some people who have never had consequences. And they still turn out pretty good just because they were raised pretty well. But they still to this day don't understand consequences either. Like, they don't like being told no.
Yeah.
You know?
And you're like,
which I don't like being told no either. But that's because I'm a control freak.
Yeah.
Not necessarily consequential. I just like to be the one in charge.
Exactly.
So.
And that's fine.
But whenever I get told no, I'm like, rethink that.
Try again.
Try that again and say it YES.
Don't say no, say yes.
Yeah. No is not in my vocabulary. Thank you, though.
Yeah. That's a good way to think about it.
Maybe.
I do.
But not having remorse at all, still not to this day, still not coming out and being like, hey, my bad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's the part that's like, that's kind of scary.
Maybe not. Maybe just leave him in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. This case actually is cited in a lot of discussions and used in a lot of like teaching examples and things like that for early onset psychopathy, juvenile sentencing, like what the limits should be. Like if he was able to do this at 13, like who's to say that somebody else is not going to be, and then also parole risk assessment. Like just because he looks good on paper, because he knows what to say now, doesn't mean
actually know him.
Do you actually believe that he's not going to reoffend? So, the big question for that, like that they take from all those things in teaching these types of like psychologies is like, what do we do when a kid understands harm and chooses to do it anyway?
Consequence.
Right, exactly. But
he long-lasting consequence. 20 years. I can't say it's not long enough because 20 years is a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But like, is 20 years going to be enough for him to actually learn his consequence? And like, is he going to get out and realize that like you can't do it? There's going to be consequences.
Yeah.
Again?
Right. Exactly. Like, is that going to matter to him?
Yeah.
I don't know. And I also think that like, had he been 14 and tried as an adult initially, would he have gotten life in prison?
Yes.
He was only 1 year away from being tried as an adult.
Well, maybe he'll get out and reoffend and get put right back in as an adult.
I hope that doesn't happen to anybody.
Like that he doesn't go harm anybody. Maybe it's a simple offense and they can.
Maybe. That's literally next year. I'm going to be following that.
Yeah, you let me know because we live a little bit too close for that. I'm going into witness protection.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
That is one of the things that scare me. You cover cases and I'm like, oh my God, they're still alive.
I know, you're always like, are they going to come for us? I'm like, I don't know. Probably not.
I hope not. That's why I'm like, you're beautiful. I like you. I'm sorry you did that. Don't come to me. Don't come for me, please.
I'm just here to talk about it. I'm not here to administer guilt to anybody or
I live in fear.
Feel one way or another. I'm just putting out the facts, man.
I know. I just live in fear of literally, you know that.
Yeah.
I live in fear of everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Kinda not.
But yeah, kind of a heavy one. So, I mean, you just got to sit with that one a little bit. It's okay.
It makes me so scared to like raise children because I'm like, oh my gosh, what if you just do one thing wrong? It's like Aaron was like, one day whenever we have kids, our kids are going to fall asleep like how we fall asleep listening to the Delilah. He's like, our kids are going to fall asleep listening to the History Channel.
Amen.
I want them to learn history. And I was like, yeah, I don't want my kid to know about the Civil War at the age of 3 months old and hear gunfights and battles.
No, thank you.
No, thanks. Uh-oh, a bad one. Go to Trans-Allegheny. It's your time.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to the psych ward. Having a cramp. Send her away.
Send her to Trans-Allegheny. No, that is one of my fears. And that's why I've told Aaron, I'm like, okay, so if there's like children's history books, I'll read those. Like board books, like the little kid
that are
board
like
books.
simple and easy to.
It's like, well, it's like nursery rhymes, all the how dark they are, but you change them for kids to make them not so
scary.
Yeah, but for you to still learn them. But I was like, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I definitely want to teach my kids history and like teach it in a way that they enjoy it because you don't enjoy history at school.
No.
So like, I definitely want to teach my kids things like that. But I'm like, I'm not going to make my kids fall asleep to the History Channel. They're going to grow up and be crazy pants.
Yeah.
I don't see that turning out well, Aaron. And he's like, yeah, they'll be smart.
Animal Planet.
Aaron just
Animal Planet, baby.
We did fine. Yeah,
National Geographic. That's all you need.
And I just think good books, like, and just teaching your kid things in a fun way.
Yeah.
But
Making
yeah,
it
Aaron's
fun
like,
for
I want the
children.
smartest kids on the planet. I'm like, okay, well, we'll work on that. But I'm not going to make them fall asleep to the History Channel.
Not happening. Not happening.
He was like, well, maybe that can be your thing. Maybe if because I was like, well, if there's kids' history books, he's like, if there's not, you can write them and now you
man's
can sell
always looking for a
business plan.
Yeah,
man.
Always.
Shout out to my husband.
Yeah.
Because he is a business venturer.
Yep. That's for sure.
I mean, I'm like, cool. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
It's going to work out one day. I mean, he already.
It will. Something will catch one day.
And then mine and Shay's, the podcast, he's like, you need to do this and this and this and this and this and this.
Yeah. He'll be our manager one day.
Yeah. I'm like, we're just here.
We're just here doing our thing.
Just here. He's the one that's like, you need to sell merch right now. You need to get
get on that, Aaron.
You need to make people pay for your Discord. You need to make people pay for this. You need to do this. I'm like, nah, I'm just here. We're chilling.
We're having fun.
We're chilling. I love him though.
Love the support.
But then whenever he starts talking like that, I'm like, oh shit, we're behind.
Yeah.
We do need to do all that.
Yeah, we do need to do all those things.
Yeah.
So true. Well, I don't have anything else. My brain just completely stopped working.
Yeah, that'll send a shock to you.
Yeah.
There it goes.
It's gone. Everything's gone. Anyways, remember to like, comment, subscribe, all the good things. Join our Discord. Send us any story you have, a murder, a ghost, a weird conspiracy, anything you want us to cover. Sisters of the Strange Podcast at gmail.com. And that's all I've got.
Yeah, we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.